Welcome. My name is Danny Ross, and I'm going to be your host for another edition of the AI Lunch and Learn. Today, we're going to focus in on the next evolution in our Drive 360 dashboard. It's going to get even more interesting as we start to bring in a few more components. I've been promising for a while the discussion about how to integrate your CRM, whatever it may be, whether it's Go High Level. In the case of this example, Wix Studios CRM. But again, it can be any CRM and it can be any accounting system with modern day API connectivity. In this case, I'm going to just use a fictitious version of Wave as it's a very inexpensive API friendly cloud-based accounting system. You can use QuickBooks, you can use whatever, a spreadsheet in Google Sheets or something. I mean, it can be almost anything. But I think the idea and the concept is critical to any business, whether it's small, medium, or large. You have to be able to integrate all of the activities that you're doing in marketing with the back-end systems for your. Last week we did operations a little bit, but your back-end systems where you're bringing in the lead, turning it into a contact, turning it into a customer, tracking any kind of invoicing, in accounting, things associated with that part of the business. So today we're going to talk a little bit about using some of the new AI tools and how that could work theoretically. And again, we're building towards ultimately the Drive 360 dashboard slash app where you'll be able to build your own if you want to, and or just utilize the one that will eventually end up providing to everyone. So the goal, it kind of goes that way. But as far as integrating AI into your business, the point of this exercise is all of the ways that you can save time, therefore generate more revenue, streamline processes, take all of those disparate systems and bring them all into one. So that's really the purpose of all of what we're doing. If you have questions as we go along, if there's any audio issues, anything, just go ahead and drop a note in the chat and we'll keep rocking and rolling as usual. Let's go. AI. There we go. All right. So you have contacts living one place, you have your accounting in another place, and then you, as the owner, entrepreneur, become the bridge, putting things together, doing disparate systems and putting things. Now, there are accounting systems that are more functional, of course, and then some of them have some of the capabilities. You can build links between them using Zapier, things like that. But we're trying to simplify that whole process and specifically point out where AI can be utilized in all of these different steps. And that's the whole difference here, what we're talking about. Today, what we'll do is we'll talk about building out truth. So the source of truth is really interesting because if you're talking about accounting, you're talking about money, you're talking about privacy related to your contacts, you're talking about security related to your back-end operating systems. All of those types of things are all part of this conversation, but the real goal, of course, is to build it in such a way that everything that you have is always at your fingertips 24 hours a day. It's at the team's fingertips 24 hours a day. So when we're talking about, identifying who all of your contacts are, merging them into one place, making it convenient for everybody on the team, building out that truth matrix, making sure that everything you build is available 24 hours a day when you're on the move. Because again, how often well, sometimes we're sitting in front of our computers for 12 hours a day, but oftentimes we're all, when we need to do something, we're out and about. So we have to create all of these systems with the idea that we may be on the go. And then in invoicing land or accounting land, there's different methodologies to dealing with invoicing. So because we're using AI as part of this process, we do want to make sure that there's a human approving either invoicing or payments or the final step in any of these processes. And you just want to make sure. And then, we'll go ahead and build out some testing methodologies as again, we're talking about serious accounting and things like that. So if we look at the architecture, we're talking about ChatGPT going into Wix Headless, which is the technology that I'm using today, to Wave, which again could be QuickBooks. It doesn't really matter. And then having the final human make that final decision as to the connectivity of it all. Then we're talking about one system, one job. We are talking about the Wix Headless, right, which is managing all of the CRM parts, the connectivity, the way of accounting. And so this is the verified financial record, if you will. And then finally, that ChatGPT um, finds things for you that is not working properly. In other words, they're looking at the systems, they're surfacing priorities, bringing things that to light that, hey, we were working on this and then we're having some trouble. It's bringing in the conflicts, finding the conflicts where there's multiple things that are supposed to happen, and obviously sometimes that's not possible. And then bringing you that solution, bringing you the recommended next steps. That's the key difference. It's not just bringing a task list of things that have to happen every week. It's going to proactively go out and find issues, find conflicts, put together all of the data for you, and then bring it to you in such a way that you can act on it as the decision maker and the human in the workflow pipeline. So that's where it gets really interesting to me, is that let it go out and do the work and then bring it back to you for final approval and execution. I love that part of it. And I'll show you some examples today as we go along of, what's really happening here. Evidence before advice. This is where you have to be on top of your AI. You have to be making sure that everything that you're doing, the AI is being monitored, controlled, so that even though it is going out and doing tasks on your behalf, that the reality is those tasks are verified. The sources. It's okay for, again, it to bring in that verified fact. This is a fact. Then it can make an inference, a logical conclusion, if you will, give a recommendation. And then if it is something that it is not 100% sure of, it's not a fact, and it hasn't, made that logical leap in inference, you just want it to be presented as unknown. You don't want it to make things up. That's the key difference. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling here. Lead to cash life cycle. This is important for every business. And again, it could be, instead of an invoice, it could be a donation if you're a nonprofit. But the idea is you find a lead or go hunt for leads. You qualify those leads, make sure that they're actually interested in your product, solution, or services. And or the flip side of that, if you're doing something and you want support from them, that you're in alignment on the types of activities that your organization is doing to make sure that it's in alignment with that possible sponsor or partner. And then the proposal, which is where you present the opportunity and ask for money and or trade for services and time. And then, of course, there's an approval process, and then finally, an actual invoice is generated. That's where these things kind of go step by step. In this case, we're using our CRM. In this example is Wix. And the idea is, again, you identify all the fields um, that are going to be important. You identify the fields that are going to be strictly opportunity and revenue based. You integrate. How are the two different disparate systems being put together? What's beautiful about this, in the olden times, you would have to manually sit there and match all these fields from one system into another system. But with AI, it can go out and identify them. You just confirm that, yep, that's correct. And then you'll have fields around compliance. And this is important because, again, you're dealing with sensitive information sometimes. And so you want to make sure that the consent part of it is always tracked, and the customer slash prospect slash lead has given permissions associated with all of the actions that you're about to take. So these are the prompts, and let me go ahead and drop in the workbook. Let's see here. Yep, this is the workbook. Drop it into the chat. Oh, let me also give you our standard contacts and leads. Here's the workbook. Drop that into the chat. Perfect. And so you can do this on your own. And at the end, I'll go ahead and drop in uh, the the link for this particular brief. Oh, by the way, I should mention that we had a workflow issue which has been resolved, but the last week's let's see, where am I? My channel. Last week's. There we go. Last week's recording. There we go. This is 8/12 is up there, and then we'll get this week's up as well. We had a little workflow problem. It was a little late, but it's there now. Yay! And so we'll make sure that we keep track of all of these and try to keep them on time, at least a day or so right after. All right, so there you go. Stop running your business from memory. That's what we worked on last week. Just an FYI. All right, let's keep moving on. If I go in and I take this prompt here, oops. Come on, work with me here. I'm still getting used to this new methodology of the selection items here. So good grief almighty. Today is one of those days where the mouse is not cooperating. Sorry about that. I'll grab it actually from the workbook since I do have that open as well. There we go. You can see in the workbook, it gives you all the different things that we just talked about, and then here's the prompt. Some days you just have to go around a different system. All righty. So we'll run this prompt just so you can kind of see where it is. Now, first prompt is always going to be the one where we are trying to build out too many ChatGPT windows. So it should be fun. And we'll go back 2 steps, and there we go. We'll run it here. We'll keep it light so it's fast and let it run. This is going to run that verified business brief. And so it's going to, first thing it's going to do is make sure that the prompt that it's running, that the business information is all there. It's going to find all the things that we needed to do. And so we'll use, in this case, just a mock-up. Let me run it. Actually, let's do this because we'll save some time. Oh, perfect. Perfect. We'll just run it here under the mockup for the class. And by the way, as it's working on that, I will show you where we're going here. So we have the whole classroom mockup, and so we'll let that run. And then we have some other examples. Uh, wow, we're having a lot of technical issues today. And so the idea is we have the registration page running, we have the different contacts running, and we're building towards this, which is the example mock-up one. And so you can see here, it's going to build towards this clear view of the revenue without surrendering control. The AI comes up with some interesting titles. I like this. So this is the finance and CRM dashboard that we're building towards, and we can start to see how the money is connected and so on and so forth. So we're going to run that as we go along here. So that's the first prompt. And so it's going to ask us questions and describe it in one or two plain languages. And then I'll tell it to use the mock-up brief digital. What was that mock company name? It was digital dream, something or the other. This is one of those days. There we go. So I started this thing off ready. Let's get this going here. And we had the digital dream. Use the same, the mock-up digital, mock-up brief company above. There we go. Let that run. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so that's that first prompt running. And so as soon as we get through that, and we're telling it not to add any fictitious information, don't actually go ahead and generate any actual invoices. And so all it's doing is doing this process. Now, normally you would be connecting all of these real pieces. So this is where we would be bogged down for a couple of hours trying to do this. So we're not asking it, do not ask any passwords, don't ask for any API keys. So now, if you are not familiar with this process and these things scare you, just reach out to us. I shared the contact information before. These are all parts and parcel of doing this process. And so what I wanted to do was actually run through the process without having us do these detailed steps. But the idea is, how does this all work? Is the AI can actually perform functions on your behalf in the browser, and I'll show you that example in just a second, where it is asking for things like passwords, things like API keys, and you're like, what's an API key? It is effectively a tool and a secret that is shared between two different apps where they can talk to each other. So, between the passwords, between the API keys that allow us to share, like connect our CRM system to ChatGPT, have the the accounting platform connect with ChatGPT through that secret handshake. And that's where those API keys, they're just long text strings that indicate, okay, it's okay to talk between each other in an automated fashion where I'm not actually connecting the data and moving things one by one. Same thing with, real bank account information. And we're gonna, if you have to pay for something, social security, all these confidential customer records, these things are in your accounting system, perhaps, probably not social security numbers, but the rest are all in there. And anything that's PII or personal information, you want to keep highly secure. And so that's why we're only going to use fictitious examples in this one and kind of go from there. So let's see how it's building. All right. And so it's asking you these questions like an interview process. And so I'm going to tell it, skip all the interview questions and just build a mockup dashboard. Okay, a mockup business brief. There we go. It's going to just skip the interview questions and we're just going to have it go from there. All right. Let's see if it keeps insisting that I give it answer the questions. It'll be fun to see. All right, so it's working on that. And so where it's going is it's going to build this dashboard here. What I wanted to show you while it was working, because I knew this was going to take a little bit of time, is part of one of the steps that I did for today's class is I wanted to send out an individual email to everyone who is registered for the class. And so I had it, the AI, this is showing you the AI in action. I had the AI reach out through Zoom after I created all this fun stuff here. Let's go here. I wanted it to go out to the Zoom registration, and I literally had it open up the Zoom window in the ChatGPT browser and have it go out, run these steps. So it opened up the analytical and reports tab. It went into the meetings, found the meeting, found the one I wanted, open, choose the registration report, and then select all the registrants and generate the report. And then from that report, then I had it go and download the CSV. What's amazing about this is you can set this up as a workflow, and so that every week it would go out and do these steps for me on my behalf. And if you look here on the right, as it's working through these actual steps, you can see the information that it's bringing back. You can see the files and folders that it's bringing back. You can see the browser window for the Zoom here on the right. And it's what's interesting is as you have it run through this process, you'll see on the right, if you open this up and actually open the browser, you'll see on the right as it goes through step by step and goes to the report, selects the report, goes to the contacts list, downloads the contact list. So it's doing all of those things on your behalf. So you can sit there and watch it. And even more fun, of course, is telling it to do that once a week on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, as I did it this morning, and completely have it do all those steps in real time in a browser that you log into. That's where it asks you. So, and this was interesting. I found one of the things is its focus has to be in the same place as where you think it is. So I'm looking around and I'm going back and forth with it that, hey, I have the browser window open. Why are you not working? So then it sees the issue, tells me, hey, I'm using the internal browser, which is what I asked it to do, but it was down here on the bottom and the human error in this was I didn't notice it. And so it's down here on the bottom, but it finally found it, went through the whole process and downloaded the Zoom registration list. And I didn't want to do that in real time because I knew there would be issues. So it created the fictitious, let's go back to the process here. It created the fictitious brief. It verified the information. It basically said, okay, Wix is going to be the CRM authority, Wave is going to be the accounting authority, and it built out the human approval matrix and all of the assumptions and everything that is required. So here's the business brief completed. Wonderful. So now we can go back and continue to build. This is the part that is a little tedious, yes, but it's important to have the foundation so that you are doing it in step by step. And then you have the approval. See, my mouse worked this time. And so now that we have that architectural design, we can tell it uh, again, run using uh, just mockup data. Do not pause for any interview style questions. I'm just going to tell it run. And so now it's going to run that second one. And so the idea is, again, we're continuing to build towards this dashboard here. And I'll kind of show you like a cooking show as we go along where we're going towards here. And as it's building out, this is all pretty good. I like it. And so I'll go back up here. Oh, did I put the prompt in the wrong place? I sure did. I love it. Sorry about that, folks. Let's stop that. Stop. There we go. It's still stopping. I had to interrupt it there. I like how it still went ahead and did tried to run it. You gotta love the technology. It recognizes it's just in another window. So I just moved it over here to this one is the one we're doing for the mock-up. All right. Sorry about that. And let's go back here because I want to finish this example. All right. So it has done the download of the complete Zoom registration list. And then now I'm telling it, hey, I want to do a mail merge for this week. I want to use the first name. And if you've never done this process, it's really simple. You have a variable. In this case, I'm just naming it first name, which is one of the fields. If I look at that spreadsheet that's here in the CSV, there's a first name field. And I want it to basically pull that first name and then make sure that each email is unique. And then I wanted to send out the invite email that you all received today, and with a call to action to go ahead and register. Now, all of you are already registered, so it's really just a little bit redundant, but taking people back. And so this mail merge is ready. 67 unique visitors. These are people who signed up today. No duplicates or missing first names. And so these are all the parameters I put around it. And you can tell here if I go into the work, this is what I was talking about. You can watch it do these steps. It's really fun to watch. It says I'm validating all the fields, removing any accidental duplicates, checking the connected Gmail account, because again, I'm using a real Gmail account through ChatGPT. We talked about plugins. We talked about all the automations that you can do. It's actually using a real email address, real email account, and it's going in, it's validating all of the emails are correctly formatted, things like that. And then it proposed a simple subject line. And so it built those out. Okay, it looks like our mock-up classroom next step is done. So again, it's pulling in all of the information. And the reason why I'm jumping back and forth is I don't want you guys just sitting there watching a screen flow. So approved business brief is connected. The Wix Headless project is telling me I haven't connected it yet. It's not tested yet, but it's a mock-up. So we're going to pretend we did all of these steps. So all of these steps are necessary, but what's beautiful is instead of sitting here and doing the, comparison on the chart of accounts and things like that, we let the AI do all of that heavy lifting. So the system of record is just going to say, hey, Wix is going to be verified fact. And it's just going through each one of these and saying it's done it. Not really, but this is how we test and pretend to do these things. So proposed workflow. Normally, it would have a diagram in here is exactly how it's going to do each step and each connection. And I do have that in another chat, but I'm not going to show that to you because it does have not necessarily PII, but it has some secrets from my actual real connectivity. So these are all the things that it's building. These are the queries that the dashboard is going to answer, which opportunities are required, which inquiries require attention, meaning simply that somebody, a contact asked for something and we haven't replied, which opportunities, meaning, are stalled out, and so on and so forth. So these are the questions that the dashboard is going to answer for us. And then what is it going to do for each one of those actions as it is described by the AI? And then these are the things that are going to require human approval. Okay, so it's just giving us this whole list. And then at the end, it's going to create all the little technical things that we really don't want to know about. But if you really are a detailed orientated person, you can go in and do all of these things. So these are all the testing criteria for our next step. And so let's go back here. And so let's keep going. I do like that. So identity is the integration, validate all of the identifiers, or how we're going to merge all of the contact information, and then how we're going to deal with all of the conflicts. From there, we have this next prompt, which is here. And I'll try to grab it. It won't let me grab it this time. It has to do with this new wonderful new way that is doing this stuff. There we go. I'll just do it this way. And again, I'm going to tell it in the as it works it is again use just a mock-up process. And there we go. Now it's going to go through this next one. When I did this originally, what's interesting, it actually shows you all of the coding that it's doing to do this step. And it's again fictional. There we go. Fictional, that's a real word, design and test exercise for this company. So it will not actually try to connect, but if I was doing this in real time, it would connect directly and do all of these different strings and things like that. And it's all stuff, again, that us as mere mortals don't really want to know about. So that's the beauty of this exercise. Okay. So now that we've got I'm going back to the example that I was showing you of the automation ability of these tools. It's simply amazing. So now that it's already done the whole thing and it's sent out 67 personalized external emails, shall I send them now? Yes, please do. And so it's done all of these different contacts. It's showing each step as it did it. Originally, it paused because I added, please add an unsubscribe function. So now, if you're ever doing any of these types of projects, batch emails, some of the rules, including things like giving the prospect or the contact the ability to get out of these emails. And as a small business, you want to make sure that you offer that. And anytime you do a batch email, so that people can get out if they want to. And the idea is you can automate that process because I know that that's an important thing. I don't want to manually have to do it every week, so I asked it to do it. So originally it paused the send to add the unsubscribe, and then it said it was going to establish it through GHL. Go high level because that's one of my tools for CRM. And I said, no, for this example, for the class, we're doing Wix. And so I want you to stay in Wix. And just for today, go ahead and send the emails using Wix and tracking it in Google Sheets. So that kind of diverted what it was going off to go and start doing. And then so now it went ahead and it told me that all of the emails were sent with a personalized first name, the Zoom registration, and so forth. And then I can see and track the any future emails. So that's really, really cool because now I have a spreadsheet, again, another source of truth that says here are all the people that opted out after receiving the email so you can go back and just keep track of that. And more importantly, have the AI keep track of it, not you manually going there and looking at each bounce, each unsubscribe. Okay. So then it did all of this process. It did all the required fields. These are all things that you and I would never even think about, know about, but the AI knows all of the fields that are required. And when you do this in real time with your accounting system, it'll know the fields that are required and the actions that need to happen and put all these things together. So this is what we're doing. Why am I doing this step by step? It's because I want you to see the complexity that is required when you go out and do these things and what your AI and your CRM and accounting systems do on a daily basis to earn their $20, $50 a month. Now, these are all the things that are, done. So you don't want to ever be doing all of these things manually is my whole point. Okay. So this is wonderful from the standpoint that let's have the AI do all the heavy lifting, figure out all the connections, and let's just reap the benefits, if you will. Okay. All right, let's keep rolling along here. We have the identity reconciliation. We're going to actually confirm all these things, and then we're going to build out this view. The drive is going to deploy, reach, implement, validate, and expand as we do every week. And we're going to tell it specifically this week we want the top three priorities. We want to find out about all our new leads. We want to implement a customer setup for invoicing. We want to validate. And then, of course, if everything is smooth, we want to expand upon it. Same thing with the actual Drive dashboard builder. So we actually want to build this out, and I'm going to tell it to go ahead and skip that step that I had sent before, and we're going to skip to the step. All right, tell it, hey, let's jump ahead. And while it's doing that, I'll finish my last part of my example on this email batch system. So here's where it gets interesting. So I did all of that. I got my email, and then I realized, oops, forgot one thing. I needed to also track any unsuccessful email sends, any bounce backs, and so on. And more importantly, make this a standard part of all workflows. Again, we're building this email batch system, and if you've never used one of these, it is sometimes a real pain to set up. But I just wanted to show you an example of doing this in real time so you kind of see as it does it. And it said, hey, here's because it's connected to my email. We had three bounced or unsuccessful emails. And then I told it to add again to the workflow because I'm going to have this run every Tuesday or early Wednesday morning. And so I want to make sure all the bugs are worked out. That's why I did it slowly and piece by piece, because that's how you find things that, oh, wait, this is not quite right. And so now it's updated it. And now I have an email tracker file in Sheets. And it's just going to be the way that we did it for this week. Next week, we'll probably build it directly into the CRM. And there we go. So let's see where we are. So it's building out this stuff here. It's almost done. Here's all of the things that where we are, the executive summary, and building everything into the dashboard. And so we're heading towards a final piece here. It's looking good. It's kind of making up new things, new leads. And so qualified contacts, proposals, it's going to send out this fake invoice or prepare to send out the fake invoice. It will not do it until we approve it. And so it's kind of going through all the steps. So now accounting, who wants to do accounting? That's not something fun for most people, unless you're an accountant, so like my sister. Most of us just do it because we need to get paid or get our donations collected. So these are the interesting things it's adding and making up. But in your real system, these would be real data points. And there's some invoicing systems that it's putting together. It's putting together some fake missed-ish information and problems, which is good because you want this tracked in your real system, of course. And so it's putting together that optional fictitious information, and boom, we have that done. All right, so we can now go to the last couple of steps here. We're almost done, and we'll build this out immediately. You can read through all of these missing points. And what good dashboards refuse to do. In programming or designing any kind of automated system, it's really easy to design what the system does and what happens when everything works perfectly. What is also critical and very important is to design what happens when the systems fail, when there's a problem, when a user doesn't give you all the information or whatever happens. These are all the things that can happen. And so you have to set parameters around what it cannot do or what should not do without alerting you of the issue. And so as it does that, the two-gate rule is what we talked a little bit about earlier. So again, draft approval, human approves it. The system goes back, verifies everything is good, and then sends it out. It's kind of like where in this process I showed you with the email, it paused to say, okay, this we need to do first. And then it says, are we good to go? Then I say, yes, here's what I want, and then it executes. That's where you want to have that two-gate system. And the same thing with the last part here is the invoice preparation copilot. This is the critical one because you don't want it accidentally sending out incorrect emails, things like that. So you have the two-gate system and then automation on the safe middle. You can do all different kinds of automations, but the one that the human has to click on the actual yes button, if you will, to go forward on the invoices. You could easily have it prepare everything, get your logo in there, get all the data in there, just scan it quickly before you do, and then before the AI executes. And then once you have everything in place, you go ahead and click that checkbox and it goes on its merry way. And so the final prompt, as far as the CRM system, review the approved architecture, automate now, automate after documentation, go through each step. And so these are the classification tiers as to where we want to be. We can make these decisions as we build out the system. Is it going to be fully automated as far as the processes? But when you're talking about invoicing and accounting and money, you do want to be at least in the AI assisted slash human level and tier. Or you can obviously keep it fully human. We don't want to do that because the whole point of this is to get us into the automation space. So you would then go in and start doing your pre-launch and doing your testing and just making sure everything is flowing with the fictitious data. And then you would do a move over to the real data, and then you would map your field, confirm all the maps of your fields, confirm your your data looks good, and then you would run those final dashboard prompts. And so what I really like about this system is it does give you a multi-step place to check everything. And so in here, you can see the what is Wix Headless. You can go through all of these pieces. So the documentation, it will help you if you want to read up on it. I'll give you this as well, and then you have that as well. So if we go here to our CRM, let me share this with you guys before I go off and forget about it again. And I'll drop this here. And there is the link for the share. And now I will go back here and just finish up the review. Voila, we have built it. It gave us, clear pipeline and where it's coming from. What I like about the dashboard, it's simple, easy to read. This is monies that are sent or overdue, and then what's the exposure, and then what's the problems. It breaks it down very simply. If you look here, it's breaking down our acronyms into actual content. These are the what needs attention now indicators, and it's just showing you three, but it could be more. And so it's showing you that there's an invoice, the amount due, due date, and so on and so forth. And it was sent out, proposal was sent, and so on. It brings all of this out of the accounting system. Now, in the accounting system, of course, you would have details and you can go in and do that. And you would set it up so that when you clicked on it, it would go right into the invoice. That's the beautiful part of this. It goes, finds the problem, overdue receivable, money's owed. Very fun thing to always have somebody owe you money. Well, it's just better if they pay you. But my point being, it would surface it up into this dashboard. You would click on it, it would drill down, find the invoice in the Wave platform, and then you'd be able to action on it as the human. It's telling you to review the evidence and then act on it. This is a verified fact that this money is overdue. Human review. The email matches, but the company shows two different things. So, and it's just saying there's a problem here. The automation is shut down, and then so you can go in and compare the two records. You have one name in Wix, one name in Wave, and then you want to go ahead and what do? You can go in and kind of fix that. Same thing, you would click through. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is showing you that it's based on these three different systems working together, and it's showing the status of each in the dashboard. This is all really, really very simple but effective ways to know that all your systems are working. Then here's all the things, next best action, what needs to happen, that type of thing. And then if you clicked on the reach, it's showing you now the revenue and opportunities that are out there. And so it's showing you each one of the stages that your customers are at. This is a new customer here, and where is it living? It's if it's in the contact CRM stage, it's just sitting here in Wix. If it is in the invoicing stage, it may be all the way out to your accounting system as well. These are the new opportunities. What's the pipeline? Again, it's giving you all of that information in one place, and then implementation. It can go out and do these different tasks. So right now we don't really have anything super duper interesting to look at, but it's telling you these are the things that we need to implement and work on, things like that. And then validation is just again showing you your money. And then expansion is what are we going to do next? This is where we're going to go out and run these different tests and get these things done. So this is a really simple example, I think, but it's got a lot of things happening in the back end that makes it complicated, sure, but the actual end product is super simple, and that's really where we want to go at the end. So I was looking at the dashboard, sales dashboard that we created earlier. You can see that it is still running, still updating every Wednesday at 7 a.m. And this is what I wanted to show is that right now, this is the drive, deploy functionality for sales. So these are kind of connected to our fictitious company, but the idea is it's showing a discovery call. It's showing the things that we need to do. And every week, this updates with the latest and greatest. And so by us building these things out, we can keep track of this in one dashboard. And I'm eventually, like I said, I'm going to roll this all together into the Drive 360. And then we'll have the different components all working together in one app. And you kind of see how we're building this out so that ultimately we get to that point where we're very, very happy with this overall thing. And we've connected to our real systems, our internal systems that are built out. So it doesn't have to be hard to do, but again, we don't necessarily always want to do this manually. So the idea is to automate it, have it build it, and so we can kind of go from there. So we have all of our our prompts here in the workbook. And so we can go ahead and walk through each of these as we download them. And these will be uploaded to YouTube next week. And this is really coming along very, very well. I really like where it's going. And like I said, we're almost to the end where we're going to go ahead and build out the final app. But as an exercise in connecting different disparate systems, we are making a lot of progress. And as promised, I finally did get the CRM portion built into this dashboard. So we're going to end it a little early this week, only because I don't want to start a new topic yet. And we're always open to questions. So if you guys have questions, reach out to me via email. If you need help building any of these things, you can reach me that way as well. And we're going to have some fun as we keep going along here. All right, everyone. This one was, as I said, we never end early. Usually I'm a little over, but this time I was able to get it done in a short period of time because I skipped some of the building things, and I think you guys appreciated that as well. All right, everyone, you have a fantastic rest of your week. Let me just make sure I did everything. Yep, I did. All right, everyone, have a fantastic rest of your week. I did not give you homework, but the homework is to do the work in the book. Have a fantastic rest of your week. All right, bye-bye, everyone.